In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you guys how to recreate this using just a few Google images and the text feature with Photoshop. So it's pretty simple. I am going to take this tutorial as if you are brand new to Photoshop, so I'm going to go kind of slow. Feel free to speed up my voice if this is too slow for you. So first we're going to start a new document, Control N. What I would recommend is learn all the hotkeys now. It's going to save you so much time in the future. So we'll just call this screenshot 2. And make sure your dimensions are where you want them. Because I have an image copied, it's going to always take it from the clipboard. So I've copied a big image. I don't need it that big. I want it to be the size of a YouTube thumbnail or YouTube video, so 1920 by 1080. Now the resolution is important. You always want to set this on 300. For this video tutorial, I'm going to leave it on 72 just so my computer processes quickly. So I don't have it, I'm not slowed down at all there. But if you're ever printing or if you're ever doing anything for the internet, like a YouTube video, 72 is fine. But you want to put this on 300 if you're actually going to print. So that's important. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. And let's begin. So the first thing I need is my elements. And I've already kind of set these up here on Google. I have a metal background, I have my Chuck Norris that I want, and I have my American flag that I want. So let's start copying and pasting these in. I'm going to copy this image, come back here, paste it in. I accidentally pasted it into a group. That was kind of cool. So what you can do here is you can label stuff. So I'm going to just label this flag, go back to my Chuck Norris, copy him in, label that Chuck. You might wonder why I'm labeling these. For a project of this size, you really don't have to. But I'm sort of just thinking ahead. In bigger projects where you have maybe dozens or even hundreds of layers, labels and groups are very powerful. And then I'm going to go back here, get my metal background, and I'm going to paste it in. So I have my 3 layers. Now the way Photoshop works, I'm just going to call that metal. Photoshop works in layers. The layer panel is your best friend. You need to spend a lot of time here familiarizing yourself with layers. Picture a table, and you're going to lay artwork on top of the table. And first you're going to lay a piece of paper, and on top of that you're going to sprinkle some glitter. Now if you sprinkled the glitter first and then laid the piece of paper over it, the paper would cover the glitter. You wouldn't be able to see it. And that's what's happened here. My metal I've laid on top and it's covering Chuck and the flag. So if I rearrange this to the back, now Chuck has a white background, so he's on top, and he's also 1920 by 1080, so he's covering the whole thing. But if I moved him, you'd see that there are things behind him. Okay, so layers are important. Make sure, like, a lot of people will be frustrated because they try to grab Chuck here and it's like, well, you couldn't use the move tool because no layers are selected. Or they'll have like the wrong layer selected, like they have flag selected here, and they try to grab Chuck and they're like, what's going on? I'm not able to move Chuck. Well, it's because you're actually moving that flag in the background. And this is very powerful. It's frustrating because it's not obvious. You want to just click what you see. But layers enable you to do amazing stuff later as you get more advanced in Photoshop. So it's a good thing, trust me. But familiarize yourself with layers. Make sure you're on the layer you want to edit. So in this case, we're going to start editing Chuck. We're going to do this really quickly. I'm going to select W. Now you might, when you hit W, the hotkey, you might get this tool. You don't want this tool. It is, it's good. It's the quick selection tool. You want the magic wand tool. So just hit Shift W and it will toggle between the 2 options there. Now, if you click in this white space and you get exactly the area you want, that's good. But this tolerance up here, let's say I set it to 150 and I clicked. Well, now it's going to also select some of Chuck's face. Meanwhile, if I set it to 5 and I click, it's not going to pick up that whole background. So you need to play with the tolerance. 50 I've already pre-tested is going to perfectly select the area that I want. Then I can hit delete. Go on this side, do the same thing, hit delete. Now I'm in this selection. Photoshop uses this selection area. Again, it's very powerful and there's a lot of uses for it. For now, what you need to know is you need to make sure to get out of that selection before you can keep working. And we're going to actually use this selection feature in a little bit here. For now, I want to teach you how to get out of it. It's Control D. Control D is the hotkey. So if I have something selected, Control D will unselect. Okay. Also, always be aware of what tool you're on. Right now, I'm on the W tool. So we want Chuck to be small in the corner. To resize something in Photoshop, it's Control T. T as in Travis. So we're going to hit Control T. Now, when you grab this corner, you can just start to resize, but you don't want to lose dimensions. You don't want to squeeze Chuck. So if you hold Shift, it will always keep your dimensions the same, fixed. And this is really powerful, so hold Shift, get it into where you want them to be, let go. Now, real quick, we're still inside of the transform box, and to get out of that, we need to just hit Enter on our keyboard. Hit Enter. I'm going to toggle to V. V on the keyboard is your selection tool. It's your move tool. It's your basic tool. One of the first tools you need to memorize is V, as in Victor. It's going to let you grab stuff and move it. Now again, I can't grab that American flag because I'm on the Chuck layer. I can only grab items on the Chuck layer. In fact, I can only grab that whole layer. So I put Chuck down here in the corner. We can make him look better later, but for now, that is good. In fact, I'm going to hide that layer. We'll come back to him later. I'm going to go to my flag layer now, and I want to, if you remember over here, I had Chuck Norris, the words, and that flag was inside the letters. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. First, I need my text, so I just hit T for text, and I'm going to make a text box. I want it to be that big, and I'm going to start typing. I've already pre-selected a font that's going to work, which is Impact, and it's size 676. And I'm not seeing the word Norris because it's a little too big, so as I make this smaller here, let's see here. In fact, let me make this box a little bigger just so you can see Norris. Okay, there we go. I want it all fit on one page, and I'm going to do some of this resizing later. I just wanted to get it close right now. But I'm going to go in with T. I'm going to select just Norris, and I'm going to make it just a little smaller. I want it to be the same length, the same width. That's about good. Okay. So I'm going to move this up. It's about perfect right there. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to use my selection tool to knock out just the areas where the letters are, right? The other areas to where the flag layer just has Chuck Norris. Okay, so not to be too confusing, let's just start. Making sure you're on the text layer, go ahead and grab W, and while holding Shift, I'm going to select, so first I select C, and I've grabbed the C area. I hold Shift, and I'm going to select each of those areas. So I'm doing a combined selection. All right, I have my word, but now I need to go to my flag layer. So I still have that selection, and now I'm going to do something called Control Shift I, which is it's a hotkey to select the whole inverse of the selection. So basically, all the areas that aren't the letters Chuck Norris, I'm going to select. Again, Control Shift I. Now I've selected everything else, and if I hit delete there, it looks like the flag was just deleted. But in fact, if I now come over to my layers panel and I hide the black Chuck Norris letters, you'll see that I'm left with just the flag. So I created a stencil, basically. I'm going to hit Control D to unselect everything. So I created a stencil. Now I can actually delete that Chuck Norris text. I don't need it anymore. I just used it for that. I'm going to actually resize this Chuck Norris with using Control T. I'm going to just get it to where I want it, kind of like that. And so I created a stencil, and then I punched out the background. So now we can decorate this text a bit. Again, I had this text decorated quite a bit with some stroke and some bevel. These effects are very powerful. Under flag here, I'm just going to go to my effects panel. I'm going to add a bevel and emboss. I already have it programmed to how I want it, but you can always change these things, make it less soft, make the size bigger or smaller. We'll make it a little smaller. In fact, I'm going to change that screen color to black. Let's go down. Let's make it a little darker, and I'll change it to normal. You can do all sorts of stuff here. I'd encourage you to play with this for a while. You can add a stroke, which is just going to be on the outside. You can make that stroke bigger or smaller, however you want. Stroke is cool as well. You can add a drop shadow, which is always nice. And again, you can change the angle. You can change all sorts of stuff. The opacity here. And I've got some freezing. Hopefully it's going to get out of that. Okay, here we go. I'm back. Okay, so now let's, and I think I added an outer glow as well, but you can do all sorts of stuff. I want to show you two things real fast. On top of this layer, I'm going to bring up the exposure a bit. I want it to be a little brighter. So when I start doing it, you'll notice the background's also getting brighter. That's because this exposure, again, if you think about how layers works, it is on top of everything right now. If I go to my layers panel, this exposure is on top of everything. If I double click this, it gives me this option. This option makes it only stick to the layer right below it. So this is going to only now stick to my letters. So I'm going to bring that exposure up just a little bit more. Let's play with this a bit. That's not where I want to go. That's not where I want to go. Gamma correction. Okay, I'm happy with that for now. Now I want to go to my metal layer, and I want to do some adjustments too. If you remember, the metal layer was really big. So if I hit Control T, it's actually very large. Now zooming in and out, that's Alt and the scroll bar, the mouse scroll wheel. So that's holding Alt and scrolling it on your mouse up and down. Really powerful. Again, I want to hold Shift, keep the dimensions, and that's probably good. Okay, so I also brightened that layer a bit using an exposure. So I just went here, made sure it was only on that one layer, and I brightened that a bit too, just to bring that out a bit. Okay. Now, last but not least, I want to show you a little bit about what we can do with check. I'm going to make them a little bigger. And I want to zoom in. I want to show you, in that picture, I cut off the top of his head because the picture, if you remember, the image was cut off. So Photoshop is really powerful. You don't have to worry about that. Photoshop gives you some really cool tools to fix that, and that's what we're going to do now. This picture is almost done, but let's fix the top of Chuck's head. And what I'm going to use, I'm going to get in close here. What I'm going to use is my healing brush over here. First, I need to select an area like this, something close to where the area happened, and then I can start to draw in the top of his head. Now you might be saying, well, there's all those white marks. What's that all about? Doesn't look perfect. So what we want to do is grab the eraser, which is E. I want to come in and fix too much of that white, but now we have a round head on Chuck. So we fixed his head well enough, and now you can get really specific with Photoshop and do a lot better job. But for this purpose, that's all we needed. I'm going to add a few corrections to Chuck as well. I'm going to add an exposure. In fact, I'm going to make sure this is just on Chuck. Bring down that gamma. I like that all black. That's good. And I want to add a drop shadow to Chuck. Put a, oops, let me get this. Drop shadow on Chuck there. Okay. All right. All right, we're all set. Feeling patriotic, Chuck Norris, model American. He is ready to rock. So in this tutorial, again, just to backtrack, what we really wanted to do, and I'm going to actually go back in steps using Control-Alt-Z Now undo is just Control Z, and Photoshop only gives you one undo. So Control Alt Z is what's called step backwards, and that's going to let you go a bunch of steps back. And I'm just going to go back through this as much as I can. See how far it will let me get back. And I just want to remind you about that. First, I had the letters. I selected my W. I selected each area, and then I shifted to my flag for the punch out. So I made the stencil. In fact, at that time, I could have done this. Let me just keep going back a little bit more. There we go. So I'm here. I'm going to add this. Oops. I'm going to go back to my letters. I'm going to add this last letter. So I have my stencil. I'm going to invisible, make Chuck invisible for a second. From here, I could, if I want, I could just make that invisible. But what I wanted you to make sure is first go to the flag layer. Make sure you're on the flag layer. Now, if I wanted to, I could just delete those letters and have that kind of effect going on. But in this case, I wanted to delete all the areas outside of those letters to make that stencil. So I hit, again, Control-Shift-I to select everything outside of the letters, of the current selection, which were the letters. Then I hit delete, and there we have it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll try to make a couple a week. If you have any questions, if you want to learn anything about Photoshop, I'm also a web developer. I use different platforms to build websites professionally. Right now, my favorite is Wix. It's very simple. I'll be making some Wix tutorials as well to show you how to create powerful websites. It's a lucrative business. I can charge anywhere from $1,000 to $6,000 for a site. That's been the pattern of my life recently. And usually you can finish those sites in just a couple of days, and they're very powerful. The apps on Wix are very powerful. Of course, WordPress is very good too, or Squarespace or something like that. Or if you want a custom program, that's fine as well. But yeah, I'll be doing tutorial videos from now on in the realms of Photoshop and Wix. So if you like it, please subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you. God bless.